further than we chose to. Because there is a threshold sometimes. But these people live in just an unthinkable world, and we try to represent that. And Greg's really good at it.
Well, I think also, thank you. I think there are moments where you need that to further our storyline. As an example, the scene in Terminus where we see the guys line everybody up at that trough. Now, that was a moment that Scott and I talked quite a bit about, because up to that moment, we've seen little hints of what they're capable of. But they had a very kind of pleasant manner about them. They were sort of a little preppy and kind of cute and nice, and they were like nice guys.
We were trying to make it another day at the office.
Yes.
To show institutional evil. And making them as mundane as possible, and then showing something as pronounced as possible. And we were bouncing back and forth in calibrating that a long time.
Yeah.
And I think it was that contrast that, yes, really did further the story and changed Rick indelibly. So it really is, I guess ultimately, if it's in service to the story, all bets are more or less off. More or less.
Our third mic here, your name and your question.
Hi, my name is Joe Williams. I'm here representing you, Us Weekly, so thanks for that earlier. I have a two-part question. The first is, Shonda Rhimes famously talked about how she had like 3 seasons on Scandal, that was it. That's kind of gone beyond the deadline. What is the end game for Walking Dead, number one? Do you guys have that already plotted out? And number two, Andrew Lincoln, I understand that you listen to music to get your head right for scenes. What's on the playlist?
I'll be releasing that album next Christmas. Music to Kill Zombies.
I would buy that.
Really? Good spoken word.
Like William Shatner did it.
We should get Shatner to do it.
Oh my God, a cameo by William Shatner. Please make that happen.
Yeah.
Greg and I would just follow him around.
We would.
But that's
We even have an end game.
But that original question is good. Is there an end game?
Yeah. There is absolutely an end game. It is. I mean, there's. The show is mapped out for several years. We have a comic that we base on, and even applying that to the butterfly effect of the show and the various characters on the show. Even taking part of the comic, just being able to plan from the comic and apply it to what we have now. We have several years into the future. There's a series of rolling end games in a lot of ways. Some of it, of course, does depend on Robert's end game. Right now, the audience is enjoying the program a great deal, and they're enjoying the comic a great deal. And I believe that those end games will be in concert with one another.
I love the way you play with the audience's expectation if they know the books. We've been talking about Negan, and those of us who've read the books know what that guy's about and know what's coming, and we're just waiting. We can't wait, And that happened with Michonne, and that happened with the governor. And can you talk a little bit about that extra bit of conversation or that extra bit of entertainment that comes when you know the books and you have a sense of how you're playing with those storylines?
Well, we have to change the books now in so many ways because of all the characters that have gone, that are still in the books, characters that have never been in the books. But it's the show's mission statement to tell the spirit of the books as closely as possible. It's often taking storylines from one character and applying it to another character. It's sometimes drifting away from the narrative of the comic to get back to the comic. Terminus was one of those things. Terminus was, in some ways, to thematically get the characters to a certain place, but also to physically get the characters to a certain place together. and then facilitate the hunter storyline.
Has Robert ever, sorry to interrupt, but has Robert ever
You'll
stopped?
have to go to the mic, really.
No, because then she's gonna kiss him.
And call me out about being like Shane. No, I was gonna. Has Robert ever once said, no, you can't do that. You can't flip that. You can't invert that with a character?
You know, back in the day when I started, and I was on the staff, it was funny. He and I were he was very eager to change things. He wanted to flip things. I was very zealous about sticking with the book. And then as the years have gone on, so many things have changed that it's very difficult to do things exactly the same way. The book is so popular in some ways you want to change some things to entertain and surprise the comic audience. I can't recall a time that he's given like a dead no. I think there's been times he's been less enthused and times he's been more enthused. But he's always been very, very supportive. He's always wanted to tell the story as the TV show is rolling. And he's influencing that story so hard, both in the books and the room, that I'd say it's always a conversation in the writer's room, and he's absolutely steered things one way or another. So it really doesn't even come down to a hard no.
Okay, let's go back to this mic here.
Yes, hello, my name is